at a certain point, the numbers get so large. If you're doing, let's say, $10 million a year in revenue, if you're losing $2 or $3 million a year in churn, then you have to sell 5 or 6 million to actually grow. And so as, sort of with, as the numbers get larger, if the percentage churn stays constant, then you're just having to sell so many new customers. And
That is such an excellent point, because I mean, yeah, if you're selling 10 and you lose 30% the churn, then you're down to 7 million a year revenue. And to actually have year over year growth, you've got to sell 3 million right out of the gate in order to just to get where you were the year before.
Exactly. And for most companies, that becomes a big problem, and you see a lot of companies grow to a couple million pretty quickly. Again, obviously that's still really hard, but to get, but then to get from 10 to 100 million in revenue, you mostly see these companies that become public, they tend to have what's called like net negative churn, meaning they actually have more upgrades than they do, losses, so to speak. So even though people do end up likely churning out, their existing customers are sort of renewing for more or expanding the products or the purchases that they're making. And this is why we build Onboard, because we faced that challenge specifically. And we knew that one of our biggest problems was we didn't get customers onboarded, as well as we wanted to. And then we thought that was a big gap in the software world. And so that's what Onboard is built for.
Okay. So that was what I was going to ask, being what we're talking about. If you wanted to kind of give a high level overview as far as what onboard.io is. So that way, I think it adds value as far as giving context of what you do for the greater discussion, especially because then it like the SaaS aspect of it or the churn of it kind of make more sense. I think if you kind of gave an overview.
Sure. And so for context, software, as you mentioned, subscription software especially is a relatively new, it's a relatively new industry. In the last, let's say, decade or so, you've seen an emergence of these software companies, obviously Salesforce being the big one, and then all these other companies filling in all of these gaps, across all of the types of job functions that there are.
I think Salesforce, and there's another company that I think people overlook with SaaS, but I think SaaS really started with Microsoft when it went mainstream for two things. One, Xbox Live, I think was the first real SaaS type program, $5 or whatever it was a month to get the Xbox Live service, where somebody like PlayStation at the time, I think, was even free. So it was there, but also once they pushed Office to where they were making it very, very hard to buy, and you could, you can only get the SaaS version, the $9-10 a month, whatever it is. That's, I think, really what pushed it into the consumer lives, those two moves. But on the corporate side of things, I think it was, again, Microsoft with Office, but also Salesforce that really drove the SaaS for your business as an actual model.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Microsoft has really changed the game with making it seemingly reasonable $10 a month for Office, where I remember, at least, in years past thinking, $200 for these software tools, that's really annoying. I mean, it's way more annoying if you don't have
$400. I mean, look at how much Adobe used to cost. If you needed the creative suite, not even the creative suite, just something like Photoshop, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And now, because, my son's studying at college, he was able to get it for like $20 a month. I think a non-student discounted price is around $50 a month. But that's still a lot more affordable than having to spend the $1,500 for the whole creative suite.